come you're not coaching at the varsity level? And he says, I've been there, I've done that, I have my kids now, I want to watch my kids, I want to coach my kids, and I don't want to do that anymore. And at that time I didn't understand that. So later on, a few years later, he's in the faculty room complaining about how high the bill is on his credit card. Colleen runs it up. And I go get my teeth cleaned, and Colleen says the credit card's high because Ed runs it up. And then how many miles he's putting on the car, and how many weekends he's off watching hockey and this and that. And I said, first of all, I went home and told my wife that we were not having any kids. But I said, why do you do that? Well, why? I don't understand that. Why do you let your kids run your life like that? And he says to me, it's an investment. And me, at that age, thinking he thinks his kids are going to be in the NHL, I said, oh, okay. You know, at the time, I didn't think much of it. A few years later, I'm driving to Syracuse with my daughter, taking her to a softball tournament, and like a country music video, Ed passes me on the way to Cornell to watch his other son. I look over, I'm like, oh my God, I'm Ed. But still, I didn't think much about your quote until I was walking by Jimmy's house with my wife and dog the other day, and I saw his kids outside playing, and his wife would question why I was in the neighborhood. Like I'm some robber or something, I don't know what's going on. And I think he's a teacher, he's an athletic director, he's a coach, he's a father. I think your investment paid off. Presenting for Mr. Jimmy Need is his father, Ed.
I hope I don't cry. I've been asked to introduce Jim, but before I do that, I would first like to add my congratulations to all of our honorees, Randy, Jeff, Larry, and to a very, very special bunch of hockey players. Jim, first of all, Jim is a very devoted husband, and he's a very proud father of two. He holds a BA degree, and he's gone on and earned 2 master's degrees. He's an educator in every sense of the word. He's a principal, he's been an athletic director, he's been a high school teacher for a dozen years. He's coached varsity soccer, and with his wife, he runs an elementary program. He started a lacrosse program at Colton, and he still coaches the varsity, and he also still runs the elementary program. He's worked at various skill development camps, and he's coached at the junior college level. Now, in his time here at UC Williams, he was a 3-sport athlete and member of, I think, at least 6 Section 10 championships teams. In soccer, he was a member of, I know, a few soccer championship teams. He was an All-NAC first-team selection twice. He was also Watertown Times All-Northern first-team selection. He was chosen team MVP. He served as team captain. And he also was a member of the Section 10 All-Academic team, although I think we're demanding a recount on that one. In hockey, he was a member of not only 2 sectional championships teams, but like these young men, 2 state championship teams. He served as team captain the year the Canton hockey team either jumped to Division I. He was voted the team's most improved player that year, and again, I don't know how, made the section's all-academic team. I gotta see if I gotta take that down soon. In lacrosse, he also played on sectional championships teams. And as a junior, he was an All-A-team, All-NAC second team selection, an All-Academic selection, and made the Empire State Games team from the Adirondacks. As a senior, he was a first team All-NAC selection, and again made the All-Academic team. He also led Section 10 in scoring that year, made the Watertown Times All-Northern first team. He served as team captain that year and was named a high school All-American. He completed his high school career by playing in the North-South game at Johns Hopkins. In college at Lemoyne, he only played lacrosse. Saved me a lot of driving. He was a 3-time All-Conference selection. He was the team's MVP. He was the Conference Player of the Year. Was named an NCAA All-American. And to this day, he remains the leading scorer in the history of Lemoyne lacrosse. So it is, with a great deal of pride, I present Jim Mead.
That was worth every second that I'll be up here. I just want to say a few things. Larry, your story is amazing. It's fantastic. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the basketball banner here as a hockey guy. I'm sure Coach Brown probably would have clipped down all 4 state title banners and brought them here, but they're hung up pretty good at the pavilion. Jeff, recognize your family, heart-touching. It's fantastic to see. It was a great story. However, you just made it very difficult for every other husband in the room tonight. So I'm a little bit upset about that. Brandy, watching Brandy, who was a year older than me in high school, watching her compete, it was amazing. She had such a competitive spirit. So congratulations to you as well. I'm truly, truly honored, and it's a very humbling experience to be here tonight among such great people, great teams. Congratulations to everybody that I'm able to share this evening with. The athletic journeys that you described, they're absolutely amazing. I was very excited to hear about them tonight. As a history teacher at heart, I do like stories. I know for me personally, there are far more Golden Bear athletes that are probably more deserving, but I do thank the committee for voting me in. More importantly, I thank my wife for taking the time to fill out the paperwork, because it probably never would have happened, and submitting that to the Hall of Fame committee. I know personally I'm not even the best athlete in my own family, so I really want my wife to hear this, because I don't really, we're quite competitive. The ping pong table's been folded up for many years now, because she can't beat me. But in my own family, my wife Beth was a 2-sport standout athlete at Liverpool High School. She was also a collegiate diver at Lemoyne College, where she holds pool and school records for the 1-meter diving. She won a gold medal, I think it was 1997, in the Empire State Games, which ironically enough, my brother played in that same year. I was there watching the opening ceremonies. Beth had just completed her freshman year at Lemoyne. I did see her there. She didn't speak to me then either, but I wore her down, ladies and gentlemen. My brother and our own family, he would go on and win 2 state titles with the Canton hockey team. He would win games and section titles in soccer. Was a part of the team for lacrosse that went to the finals, the Class C finals in lacrosse. He set the scoring record at the Taft School in prep school for lacrosse, and he was a first-team All-Ivy selection at Cornell. Mike mentioned it was tough for me to see over the bottles. Kevin obviously got the brains and the height. I still win my pennants for that. Sports did provide, and still does, young people with great opportunities. I'm one of those individuals. I'm very lucky that I attended a school district where the teachers, the administrators, and the community really support and understand what type of education student athletes receive from playing sports. I just want to share with you a few stories of some of the individuals I had the opportunity to play for. Growing up, minor hockey, Faye Peters, John Casey, Myron Burns, and Bill Stevenson, they all helped the foundation for me for team hockey. They were very committed, caring individuals. how John Casey ever kept his cool when one of my best friends, Matt Morley, would skate off the ice in a fit of rage is amazing. It's debatable about how Mr. Casey got his eye cut in the heat of one of the games. Jason Casey and I believe that Matt's stick came over and hit John. Matt still...
Mythical story.
Mythical story. He still denies it, but hey, he didn't kill him, so I don't know. It was amazing. In the sport of lacrosse growing up, Phil Bain, Tim Youngs, Chuck Daniels, and Mr. Newman, Sparky, they were very influential. They introduced the great team sport of lacrosse to me. Spark and I spent spring of my 7th grade year, my 8th grade year, my 9th grade year, and most of my 10th grade year on JV together. Spark, there's probably some kind of FAS or something to be turned in the state to get for extra retirement, spending that much time with one student athlete, but I really appreciate it. He provided me with that hook for lacrosse. He made it clear that you could have another dream other than the hockey dream to play at the next level, so I really appreciate that, Spark. To spend that much time with me, I really appreciate it. He was even nice to me as a soccer player. He was a football coach, so that was nice. I appreciate that. Coach Howerhand. There, you had Coach Howerhand too? Hey, how about that? I had Coach Howerhand in soccer, my 9th grade year. We went undefeated. He just showed up and won. It was great. So Coach Howerhand, Coach Wayne Willett provided me a great opportunity and a chance to learn the team game of soccer. Coach Willett introduced us to running, junior bears, and monsters to get in shape. Coach Howerhand actually would take the hockey players and make sure we would run the mile faster as well. I don't know, he probably didn't want us on basketball anyway, but he would always push us and for us to work harder because it was important in phys ed as the athletes to lead by example. I do remember Coach Willett saying Judas Priest a lot, and it was mainly directed at Squirrel most of the time. But one thing I remember about Coach Willett, we were in Norfolk for a JV soccer game and it was halftime, and one of our best players we were sitting on the bench and he pulls out a bag of sour cream and onion chips. And I remember Coach Willett grabbing the chips and crushing them, saying, "You kidding me? You kidding me? We're in a game. You're not eating chips on the bench." And he benched them for the second half. And I think that sent a good message that you were there to work hard, to be serious, and to take it serious, especially if you were one of the better players. The varsity coaches that I had provided such a positive impact on me and all the other classmates that I had. It was amazing, the lineup of coaches that I had at the varsity level in Canton. And I had the opportunity to play for the best coaches. First off, I also had the opportunity to play for Coach Duchamp, arguably the best soccer coach, not only in our section, but the state. He had the confidence to start me as a junior on a team that was loaded with talent. We were good. We won so many games that it's easier to remember the one loss we had that year, which ended in a shootout. Ironically enough, the game had to be played in South Colton, where I now coach, and where we play our home games at Colton Pierpont. But I'll never forget being up 1-0 against Norfolk, and there was 30 some odd seconds left. The ball was chipped into the box. I went to clear the ball, and it bounced wrong. It hit my arm inside the box. And Rick Offeld blows the whistle. The fans are screaming penalty kick inside the box. He puts it outside the box. They kicked it and scored with 36 seconds left. We lost in a shootout that year. Who knows? We probably would have made it to the Final Four. We were a pretty good team, weren't we, Coach? I held it in pretty good, I think, during the awards portion on that South Colton field, but I got to the bus and I was devastated. And what I remember from Coach Duchamp is how he treated me after that game when he came up and sat in the bus seat with me, he put his arm around me, and he said, get your head up, keep your head up. He said, think of all the plays that you made in that game, think of all the plays you made in all the other games that could have gone the other way. So you put us in a great position to have that opportunity in that shootout. And that meant the world to me, Coach. He said, remember, you have another year left, and the people that are seniors really appreciate all the effort that you had this year. So thank you, Coach, for doing that. It relieved a lot of stress from me. I know he probably went to Coach Willett and Mr. Smilligan the next day and said, kind of take it easy on him. He was a little bit upset yesterday, because I don't think Smill even talked to me the next day, which you talked about it later, but he gave me a day or two to recover. But over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to work a summer camp and to coach high school athletes with Coach Ducharme, and just being able to watch him coach, he still has the knack and he still has the ability to get through the students, and it's really refreshing to see. I wish I could get him over to South Colton more to help me out. Lord knows we need it. Coach Brown in hockey, Bruce Flanagan and Robbie Newvine, they coached us at the high school level. Again, Coach Brown, not only one of the best coaches in our section, but definitely one of the best coaches in high school hockey in the state. Those three gentlemen allowed me to skate with the team as a 9th grader, not officially on the team. And as a sophomore, when I was probably really low on the depth chart, you kept me, and I appreciate that. My most memorable moment from hockey was when our team won its first state title. Ironically enough, I wasn't even there. There was 3 sophomores who were playing in a sectional Bantam tournament that stayed behind. And kind of the idea was, if you weren't on the first 3 lines or you weren't top 5 or 6 defensemen, you went to the Bantam game or the Bantam tournaments. And there was a weather delay. Our boys, we won the state title. The next day, the Bantam team, we were still playing over at Pine Street Arena in Potsdam. And I remember seeing Coach Brown in the stands. So they just won a state title. They get back on the bus on a Sunday morning because they had to spend the night there because of the weather. He gets all the way home, hadn't been with his family. He gets in the car, drives to Potsdam, to Pine Street, to watch our game, and at the end of the game, to present us with the state championship medals. Coach Brown, that meant the world to me. You have no idea how great of a human being these coaches are. And to do something like that for 3 kids who weren't, on that bus and traveling home, it really showed how much of a family that team was. So that's always stayed with me. The following year, I had a little more playing time, not a lot, but it was sufficient for my talent level. And we were in Clinton, and our orange line, there were 4 of us, and we rotated through. We were in Clinton playing the old Slapshot Arena. Let me tell you, it was intense. People were spitting on us, it was great. And we ended up, that 3rd line that I was on, we ended up tying the game and getting the go-ahead goal, and we ended up going on to Utica in the Final Four and winning the state title the following year as well. That year in Utica, in the semifinal game against Rye, I scored the 12th or 13th goal. Man, I sniped it right over the blocker side. She never had a chance to save that. Coach Brown, I don't think he was real happy that I pumped another one in to make it 13-1, but what a great feeling that was. When I graduated, I was able to come home and work with Coach Brown as a volunteer assistant. I was able to witness from the other side all the planning, the thought, the motivational energy that Coach Brown brings to sport, and it was incredibly inspiring. I try to bring that positive intensity to every practice, no matter if it's an elementary level practice or a high school practice that I coach. I want to bring that mood, that energy level, so I appreciate that. In terms of lacrosse, Coach Dan Fay and Coach Bradman, they coached us my varsity years. Again, Dave, obviously one of the best high school coaches, not even in our section, but in the state. I'm extremely glad that Dave Bradman and my father, Ed, from Strong Island, yo, that they had the moral compass to leave that area of the state and to settle up into God's country, into St. Lawrence County, to provide their knowledge and commitment to education for kids in our area is fantastic. Coach Fay, Dano, probably the most selfless, committed man in terms of volunteering his time for our athletic programs than anybody else that you could imagine. If I can volunteer to help my kids and their kids as much as Dano did, I know that those teams will have success. Coach Bradman was a great coach. I was able to gain a lot of perspective on life and working with kids after I graduated from college and came back and graduated from college, which is interesting. My dad mentions the academic piece. I think he was pretty shocked for weeks after I graduated from Lemoyne. He was just wondering if it was a reality or just a dream. The paper, I showed him the paper. It was good. But I had the ability to work with Coach Bradman as a volunteer assistant. And just watching his motivational skills, his patience, are all the traits that I try to emulate as a coach and as an educator. Coach Bradman, I know as lacrosse players, we won a lot of games. One that was really special for me was beating Carthage at Corning Field my senior year. We pounded them. It wasn't even close. That was the same day I went off and went on a recruiting trip to Lemoyne and got to hang out with Grady Harrington, one of my really close, good college friends. He introduced me as Pat Harrington, his brother. And for the next 2 years, I'd see people throughout campus and they called me Pat. Hey, if I got in trouble, it was Pat that was doing it, not Jim. So it worked out nicely. Thanks, Grady. But I would like to think that the teams that I was on hopefully laid the groundwork for some tradition for that state title run team. It was amazing to watch. Grady Harrington and I got caught in a thunderstorm down in New York City after his car was towed the night before to actually make the game to watch, and it was really neat to watch my little brother in that lacrosse game. I cannot thank Coach Fay enough for providing me the template of how to treat student athletes and how to volunteer my time. My wife might not agree with the amount of time that I spend volunteering for the elementary sports. So Dave, I just want you to know I use you as the scapegoat. I use you as who takes all the heat. And Coach Bradman knows how tough my wife is. During a lacrosse camp a few years back, she kicked him out of the pool for horsing around. So, she's tough, I'll tell you. Just a few parents that I'd like to mention. John and Kay Casey and Pam and Tim Morley. I spent a lot of time at their house growing up. They spent a lot of money on me as a kid, taking me places, camping, traveling, whatever it may be, and I really appreciate the opportunity to grow up in your homes as well. That meant a lot to me, and to see them today, it's very refreshing to know that the three boys from St. Mary's, I think we turned out okay. You know, we're all doing our thing, and hopefully we're doing it the right way. Most importantly, I just want to share some, I know this is kind of long, Mike, but you said go ahead and do it. I haven't been in a classroom in a year, so I finally have an audience, whether you're captive or not, I get the opportunity to say something. Just some insight on my parents. These people gave up, as Mike had mentioned, nights and weekends to cart my brother, my sister, and I to practices, to games, to tournaments, up into Canada, into New England, all these different areas. Their lives took a back seat for many, many years. Our activities came first, and in some sick way, I think they were okay with that. I think they loved every long minute of it. For that, I am grateful to my dad and to my mom. I really appreciate that. My wife takes that same philosophy with our kids. They're involved in a lot of activities. I obviously chose wisely. That's about all I can give, Jeff. All right, so thank you, Beth. I know it was painful for my father to come up here and speak tonight on my behalf, but it's kind of why I did it. You know, it's only fair. All those years sitting at the dining room table doing math homework with a math teacher, oh, this was perfect. So this is payback. I was hoping he had a few jokes for me, but he went sentimental, so I appreciate that. I'm sure Michael had a few in here after I'm done. I hope, to my dad, I hope I can live up to the expectations that I know that you have set in your mind for me as a father and as a husband. I know you would never share those expectations with me, just like your SAT scores or your confirmation name. But I do know you have them. Finally, my most memorable sport experiences come from watching my little brother play in high school and prep school and in college. Kevin, I gotta tell you though, the games were way more exciting in college. Tailgating, right? Shelkoff Field, great remembers. I barely survived one of them. But watching you play, there were so many positive memories. It made me feel so good watching you play. Winning those state hockey titles, beating Hotchkiss at Taft, touring that Division I defenseman who was going to Duke or something, whatever. That was great. Watching you score 7 goals against Princeton in an Ivy League contest, that was special. I was as proud as a peacock. That was great. There are also some other memories that I'd like to share. The first time I had the ability to go to the Carrier Dome to watch Kevin play in a lacrosse game, Cornell versus Syracuse, heated rivalry. I picked up Dan Fay, Grady Harrington, and we drove to the Cornell versus Syracuse game. It was on a Tuesday night. I think how we did it was we were having a conversation on an early Sunday morning with Dano. We were probably talking politics or something about the next Knights of Columbus meeting. I'm not exactly sure. But I know he encouraged me to attend that game. He said, let's go, it's your brother versus Syracuse, let's go. So we went down. Dano even showed up, even though he had a stomach flu. And we watched my brother score 2 goals, and I think it was 2 assists. One of which was the game-tying goal with minutes to go. And he played this game with a broken wrist, and Cornell won. How about that for Golden Bear support? Traveling to watch not even their own kid, just somebody who was a Golden Bear alum. The second memory that I have with the Golden Bears was traveling down for an NCAA playoff game at Townsend State to watch Kevin and Cornell. We were, again, tailgating in the parking lot. Love those college games. And I get a call from Tom Ryan. Tom Ryan was living down in Baltimore with Mike Wallace and Brennan Casey. Golden Bears are much older than my brother. And they show up, they tailgated, they paid money to get in the game, and they sat through a 2-hour weather delay, and they stayed until the end of the game to talk to my brother on the field. How about that for Golden Bear support, right? Amazing. By the way, my parents were at that same function, so I'm not sure exactly where they were on the tailgate, but probably not anywhere near us. The third great memory I have, Golden Bear memories, is playing with Kevin, Grady Harrington, Pat Harrington, and Lake Placid for the Crease Monkeys. Our college days were over, but spending that weekend in Lake Placid with other Canton alumni who would come out to watch the games, like Mike Wallace, Tom Ryan, Jesse Cashley, Sherman Grant, Jason Potter, Colin Fitzrandolph. What a great, nice, wide range of Golden Bears to hang out with. I think my wife was a little bit concerned, but a little bit stressed, but she had a good time. The other thing to mention is, I mentioned Matt Morley and Jason Casey before. We grew up going to St. Mary's in Canton all the way through our 6th grade year. That doesn't happen very often anymore with students. And coming to Canton in the middle school, my 2 best friends growing up, still 2 of my closest friends. The amount of time that we spent together in practices, in games, on buses, those are memories that I'll have forever. So I really appreciate that. Last, finally, all the times, Kevin, that you traveled with my mom and dad, our mom and dad, I guess, we can share them, as a high school kid, giving up your weekends to watch me play at Lemoyne or watch me play in St. Anselm up in New Hampshire, you don't know how much that meant to me. It was awesome. You even drove up from DC to be a part of this tonight with your hockey team. And so to his wife, Carissa, I thank you very much for allowing him to be here. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. The beer's still cold, I hope, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to apologize to the two hockey teams. We don't have enough time for you guys now. We're going to try to pitch in next year. I usually write some notes down here, but I ran out of ink. Sorry about that. I just want to say to Jimmy and Jeff for giving your wife's resume. For a guy who's been married 25 years, it's not going to make any difference later. Our next inductee is the 96, 97, and 97, 98 hockey teams being presented by Mr. Randy Bound and Mr. Rob Newbine.
I usually do most of my talking in the locker room or on the ice after a game. We have very good talks. This won't be scripted, but we got many stories to talk about. Jimmy brought up a great memory. Oh, that was a slap shot game that night. I think the bus had to back up to the rink. We had a police escort out of town. Randy was a little perturbed after the first period, slammed the door. A couple minutes later, police were knocking on the door. I wanted to talk to Randy. That's the way the whole night went. I think Matt ran over the goaltender in the first period.
Wasn't me.
I know, it was your brother. And okay. And after that happened, I'm walking out on the ice with Teddy Foss. I'm looking at him. I think I'm going down. But that's just the way that game went. I mean, it was a great event that night down in Clinton. It was right out Slapshot. So I want to congratulate the 2013 inductees. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for putting these two teams in 97 and 98 into the Hall of Fame. In the mid-90s, we were on top of New York State hockey. This group of players, we were playing the best level of hockey that could be played in New York State. We were playing St. Franny, St. Joe out of Buffalo, Greece out of Rochester, Rome out of Central New York, Saratoga, Albany Academy, smelling like this. And we had our thumb on Messina. There was nothing better than walking in Messina with a Canton hockey jacket on and beating them in their rink. And they'd have to come up with a miracle to come out and beat us, even in their barn. And there's years growing up as a kid and as a player, I don't think we ever got one by them down there. But it felt good, it felt confident to be able to walk in those rinks and have the level of players, the level of athletes they had when we put on the ice. The bar was set high in Canton. We've made many trips to Utica. The younger players got to see what it took to get to that level. And when practice started in October, everybody knew what the goal was. And these players stepped up. They played hard. They worked hard. Bruce, Brownie, and I, it was like a breath of fresh air coming into the rink. We could. What are we going to do today? What are we going to challenge them today? And with a group of athletes that skilled, it was like, okay, what are we going to do? Besides beating them up on the ice and hooking them here and giving them a level there. But we always said, that's what it's going to take to get to the next level. We always challenged this group of players, and they always responded with hard work, and they bought into what it would take to get to that level. Along with that, there has to be a little bit of luck that goes on with winning championships. Heard stories where, we got last couple minutes of the game, got beat up, but there's luck involved with winning championships. And The one story I can think of is the 97 championship game against Oswego. I think it was 3-2. We're up by 1. There's about, I don't know, about 20 left in the third period. We call a timeout. I'm sure all the parents in the stands are going, all right, we got this under control. Everything's going to be fine. I'm sure Brownie would say, nobody pitches. We get the puck, keep it down low, 1-4 checker. I'm sure the guys, I don't know if they were thinking they won the damn thing. Yeah, we're up by 2. 2 guys. They were looking at their mom winking or their girlfriend or seeing what's going on. Anyways, here's what goes on. Well, 2 men, face-off is in their zone. The puck squirts out from our centerman in between the right wing and the defenseman. Richie's not here, but Richie, right? And I'm sure if there was a video camera on the bench, I'm sure you saw Brownie going on, you got it, kidding. Because the kid that just scored 2 goals is on a breakaway, going full length to the ice. He plays him, he starts falling down, the guy had his head down all the way, buries it into him, we win the championship. So, sometimes you think you know what you got going on as a coach, you need a little luck now and then too. One more there. Congratulations you guys tonight, great group of players, very proud to be part of this group of guys that are out here today. Thank you.
I mean, no disrespect when I cover up your banner. This t-shirt says, "This team, this year, our banner." That was our theme from the beginning of the year until the end. As probably everyone here has heard, you can really see now, Leah. We have Fun Day Mondays. And motivational, we have to talk, as Ralphie said, about getting the kids fired up. What are we going to do? You know, how are we going to motivate them? And we hooked on this theme, and we said it to them every Monday. We worked hard on Mondays. Every Monday through the entire year, right through the end. When we got done, we had a manager, Sam, who was there every day with us. Luke, you helped too with these t-shirts, right? I think, sure. I think so. My memory's going. When you get older, your memory starts to go.
Yes.
He says yes. So, but they had these T-shirts put together with the theme, and it was our theme. And I'll tell you what, we didn't have to motivate these kids very hard. They were hungry. They were hungry. They played right from the beginning. Every day, like Ralph said, we would challenge them. They would come and they would work hard. They would work harder themselves. The other thing I told them, I don't know if you guys remember this, but one of the things I said, when you guys are old like me, and you have won the state championship, and you belly up to the bar, nobody's going to know whether you played first line or last. All they're going to know is that you were on a state championship team. Fellas, you are now where I was then. Is it true or is it false? I'll tell you what, they went by it and they went through. I have, if you go down to Utica, to the finals, by the way, this team will be inducted into the New York State Hall of Fame, the 1997 team this year, in Utica in March, the second weekend in March. This team is going into the New York State Hall of Fame. So congratulations, fellas. If you go to Utica, they have a synopsis of every year, right from the beginning when they first started the state championship until the end. So I kind of want to share this synopsis. I know when I go to Utica, I get a new program, and every year I read about the state championships, and I sit by myself in the corner and just smile, and it brings back memories. It's funny, the story Ralphie mentioned is in the synopsis, but here we go. State semifinal game. Canton upset number 1 ranked Albany Academy 4-2. Canton goaltender Lee Jennison made 26 saves as the Bears got sweet revenge over Albany, as Albany handed Canton their only loss, 4-3 this season a few weeks earlier. We played Albany 3 times that year. We were number 1, number 2 in the state all year. This was the 3rd game we played. We'd beaten them by a goal, they'd beaten us by a goal, and we played them in the semifinals. And this was like I said, it was sweet revenge. I talked to Dave Ryder, the coach from Albany Academy afterwards, who I knew very well. We did a lot of Empire State games together. And he said to me at the end of the game, he said, we just couldn't match your physicality. We just couldn't match your hunger, and that's why you guys won. And that was great praise from the coach of the team that you just beat. Championship game saw Oswego take leads of 1-0 and 2-1 on a pair of goals by Mark Donabella. You might remember that name from Ralphie's story. With 3:49 left in the 3rd period, Canton's Brian Carville tied the game. Canton took the lead for the first time, and Derek Heatu scored with 2:04 remaining. As time was winding down, Oswego's Mark Donabello picked up a loose puck and roared toward Canton goal on the breakaway. Oswego's comeback hope was smothered along with Donabello's scoring attempt as tournament MVP Lee Jennison made the breakaway save. Canton held on to defeat Oswego 3-2 and finish their championship season. That was in 1997. It was our first Division I win. It was pandemonium. I shared some pictures that I've left down there. And one of the other things that we said about all of our championships is they talked about the school buses. We pulled in with a school bus. We left with a school bus. Always took a school bus to Utica. We'd pull in and everyone has all the charter coaches. And again, the theme was, they can have the coaches, Hardware's going home on the school bus. And it proved to be so. The next year, the reason we're doing both of them together, there were some new people, but for the most part, it's the same guys both years. What a group of guys. Like Ralph said, breath of fresh air every time they came in. Next year, Canton goaltender, this is 1998 team I'm reading now. Canton goaltender Mark Spadazzini's 30 saves and goals by Kevin E. and Mark Morley led the Golden Bears to a 2-1 win over Saratoga. Another semifinal game, Greece won that game. Championship game, Canton led by Mark Morley's 3 goals and 18 saves by goaltender Mark Spadazzini defeated Greece 6-2. 4 unanswered 3rd period goals broke the game open for Canton, who won its 2nd consecutive Division I championship. And just to talk about how well this team was playing at the time, I have a friend from Rochester who sent me the Rochester paper. And we played Greece at the time. And at the time it was Greece, Olympia, Acadia, Athena. There were 4 Greece schools together. Their high school population, they graduated pretty close to 2,000 kids. And we went down in our little school bus and we played. And we came away with the victory. And the quote in the paper from the Greece coach was, we could play that team 10 times and we would never beat that team. They were just better than we were. And that sums up these guys right to a T. You go through some of the special memories I have. There's so many memories, and I can do one with each one of the kids as I go through. But a couple things. Johnny Musa not being able to play until then. I mean, he was on the team as a freshman. He had a condition, had to take a couple years off. There was no stopping, and the team fed off. I mean, he went through. Mark Morley, probably one of the only guys in New York State that has won 3 team state championships. That doesn't happen very often. I could just go through the physicality. The picture of the goal Derek scored at the end. I mean, Derek Heatu, he must have been 5'3" at the time. He's grown since high school. Okay, and he got the winning goal. The tying goal was Brian Carville. He towered over him at the time. But it was just a hungry team. They weren't going to take no for an answer. Neither one of the years they didn't take no for an answer. And the summer to finish, I'm going to give the quote from the Greece coach again. We could play that team 10 times. We would never beat that team. They were just better than us. Those 2 years, these guys were just better than anyone in New York State who played high school hockey. And fellas, congratulations. I don't know what the protocol is, but I would like them all to come up here and be recognized.
You got Lee Jennison, Brian Carvin, Paul Baxter, Chris Briggs, Derek Keaton, Jeremy Martin, John Broussard, Sean Cannon. We also had Ben Green, Mike Sergi, Pat Sullivan, Derek Backus, Mike Donnelly, Joe Musaw, Pat Harrington, John Richardson, the pinch, Kevin Nee, Mark Svadazzini. We also had Colin Fitzrandolph, Jay Johnson, Chris Norberg, Joe York, Luke Snow, Rob Peters. The only guy I ever saw miss a net, the only guy I ever saw miss a net, we were playing in a Potsdam tournament, and they pulled their goalie, the puck went all the way down the ice, stopped in the blue ice, Robbie comes down, he's gonna roof it, he puts it out of the rink. Unbelievable, no goalie, that's the whole thing. True story. Mark Morley, Dan Frank, he's gotten smaller. Rob Bunn, Coach Brown, Bruce Flanagan, Missy, John Manson, Sam Hall. Congratulations, guys.
Okay, I'll go over the 97-98 team. You'll hear a lot of the same names. Mike Sergi, Woody Backus, Dan Frank, Mark Spadazzini, Pat Harrington, Mark Morley, John Richardson, James Frank, Jay Johnson, Kevin Nee, Mike Donnelly, John Manson, Joe York, Mark Smith, Pat Sullivan, Corey Chase, John Parks, Eric Lawler, Colin Fitzrandolph, Luke Snow, Dave LaPointe, Pat Ryan, Rob Peters, Sean Cannon, Coach Rob Newvine, Coach Me, and Coach Bruce Flanagan. Congratulations, fellas.
Mark, where's the captain?
Sir, go ahead. Danny.
I don't know how I got volunteered for this, but great group of guys. The biggest thing I remember is just kicking ass with these guys. You know, we always won. I think we lost, what, 4 games? 3 or 4 games in 2 seasons, and we always won. We had a great time. Seeing these guys here today is like I just saw them, you know, yesterday in 1998. So it's great to get the band back together. Congratulations to everybody here, all the 2013 inductees. And I'd like to thank all these guys' families that took us to the rink, you know, when we were 5 years old until we made it to Randy. I think that's where we really got the you know, the drive to win and be hockey players. So, would anybody like to say anything else? Thanks a lot.
It's hard to believe, but they weren't this bashful in high school. Good job, fellas. Stay active.
I want you to think how special this hockey program was at that time. There's 4 state titles won in a 6-year period. I mean, the Nees themselves have 4 in their household. Mark Morley has 3 himself. At some point, you have to think, oh, this is gonna happen every year, but I just want you guys to know it hasn't happened since you were there, so that's how special you guys are. Let's give them a round of applause one more time. We have one last award. The Friends of the Canton Athletic Program was established by the Hall of Fame Committee about 5 years ago to honor people that have supported our athletic programs over the years. Although these people are not actually Hall of Fame inductees, they're given special recognition for their longtime commitment to support our athletic programs. These people have given their time in various ways, and we are forever grateful. A plaque hangs in the Hall of Fame in honor of these friends. This year, we're honoring a man who helped start the Hall of Fame at Canton Central School, and without his continued support and leadership, the Hall of Fame would not be what it is today. His generous donations on behalf of his employer have helped numerous athletic teams in addition to the Hall of Fame itself. He's never won any credit. He has never wanted to be in the public eye, but without him, we would not be here today. The committee actually had to vote on this when he wasn't there at one meeting. As a committee, we are honored to introduce Mr. Dave Peggs as our newest friend of the Canton Athletic Hall of Fame. I asked Dave if he wanted to say a few words. He just wanted to give you Gene's resume, so I'm going to read this out. No, I have to say that I always look forward to hearing all of the great stories that come up from these people on the Hall of Fame weekend. When we go down to the reception, it's always fun to listen to the stories told by former coaches and players. For some reason, the longer we are there, the better the stories get. If you want some believable stories, don't go near Letters Milligan. Okay? To wrap up the ceremonies, I would just like to say that all the money that we used for this weekend is all donated by businesses. We'd like to thank all these people for their generosity. Special thanks goes to the Commercial Press for printing our programs, Wally Johnson for making the plaques, and Witherby and Whalen for making the memory of the bricks in the walkway. If you'd like to make a contribution to the Hall of Fame or leave a special gift here at the school, you can buy a brick to be engraved and placed in the Alumni Walk, which is located outside the main gymnasium entrance. If you'd like more information, there'll be things set up at the table outside here and down at the reception. I'd like to thank everyone for one last time for coming to tonight's ceremony, and I'd like to see everybody down at the Partridge Run Cafe. Thank you.